We're here. Sun. Alright, whoever it was. Okay, now the distance. Keep still! Got it. It's nice that they put the skull in this. What was that? It sounded like someone's life was in danger. But something dangerous was nearby. Wait, I couldn't be rash. The world didn't have many things that logic couldn't explain. Like the existence of murderers. But until I saw the source of the scream myself, it was nothing but a source of fear.
今から一晩ここに入って鍵をかけて絶対に
This is kind
物音
of...
一つ立てないで
I don't know if it's on purpose, but it's repeating over and over again. Or maybe it's just a state of mind. I reached the open door, but something stayed my hand. It was a promise to Shiemi, but that scream just now was very real. It wasn't normal. I had to assume the situation was dangerous, and maybe I couldn't help if I went out. But that meant endangering myself. I was no saint and had no place to rectify that. If there was something that could get me to walk out, it would be curiosity. My curiosity had won over many dangers thus far, but right now it was weaker than my fear and risk of death. Why? Because I already knew. He saw it. That's freaking cool. Shit, what the hell were these memories? It wasn't a premonition, a dream, or anything else that vague. My brain recognized it as something I'd experienced. But how? After all, I was still alive, and the time from the memories had yet to come. Was I precog or something? By God, I swear I'd never experienced anything like this before coming here. And why did the memory came back to me at this particular moment? Regardless, that overwhelming fear and the pain and death that followed were exactly what waited for me if I opened the door. I couldn't feel more certain of that. The thoughts rendered me unable to move, immobile. I stood still, completely certain that I'd lost my chance to live. I wasn't childish enough to sneer at the selfish decision, but this still didn't feel good. Not to mention, I was upset at myself for not being able to act like me and just run out simply because I was curious. I didn't even feel saved until that moment. Suddenly, the door began to shake. This place had a handle on the outside and someone was pulling on it hard. There was a lock for sure, but there was only so much it could take before it broke. I prepared to pull on it from the inside, but
今から一晩ここに入って鍵をかけて絶対に物音一つ立てないで
this is so weird, Josh. It keeps repeating. Like, I already get it, but I know it's your mind. And I don't know. What would happen if I did? Whatever was outside would instantly know I was here, even if I protected the door. The thing had lots of other ways of hurting me. But what if I didn't know about me and was just weirded out by this randomly locked toilet? What if I didn't show a hint of fear to what it was doing? Would it just leave? I chose just to wait and see. Once again, someone pulled the door, shaking the structure as a whole. It's like even in real life, when you're in the toilet and then it is saying at outside the locked door is that it's occupied and then someone keeps knocking at the door. Is it this normal? I go up down, scream, and focus on the lock. If it broke, it'll be over for me. Over as in I'd be dead. That was what memory told me. I was powerless back then and even more so now. Assuming I tried to fight back, what would work? I'd hear the teeth were the hardest part of the human body, so maybe I could bite. Yeah. I'd tear whatever it was for with my teeth. I'd bite it to death. I gathered my wits and killing intent, grinding my teeth. I glared at the door. How long had it been? The sound suddenly stopped. For all I knew, it might have been a ploy to make me drop my guard. I'd slowly count to 500 if nothing happened in that night. I'd assume it went away. Why 500? There were no screams or attacks after that, but the silence around me improved my perception and I heard strange noises every now and then. Breathing, growling, claws on the ground. Basically, I felt a beastly presence. So that thing actually existed here. Was the mist brought here from the Savanaga? The wolf is coming. Did they all know about this? Shit, I couldn't learn anything in a place like this, and not knowing things scared me. Trusting my prescience? Trusting my prescience or deja vu or whatever it was, I just stay and wait. I'd found out everything tomorrow. I just have to make it through the night and then talk to Chiemi. And if I was something I couldn't solve, I just ran away. Thankfully, my bike repairs are going well, but I'd be leaving if it didn't work. I'd walk to Kamifuji Yoshi if I had to, like Yasumizu. They might have had a reliable means of transport. For now, I just have to stay awake and make it through the night. 5:13. I mean, the reporters have a vehicle, right? Why don't just friend them and then, hey, maybe if you go back and get out of this town, maybe I can ride in because my bike is messed up. I don't know. I never like seeing night gradually turn bright as the morning arrives. It always made me feel like shit, like I've done something harmful both for my body and as a human being in general. I found it natural to spend the night asleep and welcome the morning well rested with a smile. Never expected to feel so much gratitude for the morning light leaking through the door of an outhouse. It felt like the beast had been out and about the whole night. Naturally, the high humidity here had made my clothes all wet and sticky. It was unpleasant, but even trying to move them and make it more comfortable for myself, like a matter of life and death. Maybe it was a good thing I couldn't relax, but hell, it was exhausting in more ways than one. When I heard Chiemi shout, "Haruaki-san!" in the distance, I was so overcome with relief I almost fell to my knees. This turned out to be a trick, and I opened the door to see some wolf with a chewed collar in his mouth longing from my throat. I just gave up and let him have me at this point. With that in mind, I opened the door. I expected to see the same picture at his village I'd seen yesterday, so what I actually what I actually saw shocked me pretty hard. What the hell was up with this thick mist? I couldn't see shit. It was like the entire area was consumed by it. Did someone line every inch of this place with a dry ice or something?
Haruaki-san!
I could hear Chiemi but not see her.
ちえみちゃんこっちだ
Haruaki-san! よかった
I heard a wet sound and finally saw a silhouette with the mist.
大丈夫
歯にはまった
I woke up and saw exactly what I expected. A girl struggling to free one of her legs stuck in the deep paddy field.
そうか頑張れ
助けてって
抜けないのねじゃあ手をよっと
I tugged her hand and braced my legs. That was enough to help her, but she lost her balance and
おっとセーフ
ヘッドロックこれ技決まってる
despite how close we were now, this wasn't the least bit
と
romantic.
にかくよかった無事だったんだ
I definitely remember a time where I was far from all right, though.
ああなんとかね
I had no idea what this was about, so I didn't see any reason to mention it.
ただ夜中獣みたいな気配がした
Chiemi's expression immediately darkened. She clearly knew what I was referring
聞
to.
きたいことはたくさんあるけどまず昨晩聞いた悲鳴のことが気になる
それは
知ってるの
She felt silent, clearly uncomfortable. It was pretty ominous.
来てどうせいつか嫌でも見る
Chiemi gave me her hand. I took it, but I didn't feel this exciting about this. She led me down the path to the school dorm.
あ、夫妻さん、無事だったんですね。
生還おめでとうベンジョマン。
ありがとう温かい布団マン君たちも無事いやはるちゃんは
Oh no. Did she?
いえ、大丈夫です。
Okay.
まだ部屋なんですが、ちょっとショックが強かったみたいで。
そうか皆さん僕より先に動いてたみたいだな
逆によく耐えれたな。寝てたの？
寝られるかいつ出ていいかわからないからずっと起きて待ってたよちえみちゃんに呼ばれてようやく
起きてたんですか？
Sunaga-kun made it sound like that was weird.
いやあのトイレで寝てごらん横になるどころか座れもしないぜ
いや、そうじゃなく、そうか。
I really hate it when people just trail out like that. It makes me way too curious.
ちなみに君たちはなぜここに
はるちゃん待ちと見張りだよ。
Look
状
out.
況がはっきりするまで現場に誰も近づかないようにね。
Scene? So someone actually...
見る？ベンジョマンの胃袋の郷土試し。
Please don't be too
モ
graphic.
チあんまふざけるなよ。
ああ見るよ
Invisible and unknown were way scarier than anything else. Not to mention, I could already smell something foul. I lightly moved them aside and walked up to the so-called scene. Are you going to show this to me? Well, I mean, it's fine if it's like that, but please don't make it, distinguished, you know. There was a corpse. I was such in a horrible state if it was hard to recognize this as human. I imagine this was what you would have gotten if you overturned a butcher's cart. That was how the body the victim was disassembled. Although the butcher would have to deal in trails, and now for that comparison. Straining my eyes to look through the thick mist, I could actually make out some human parts within the vast sea of blood, or mountain of death. Hands, torn clothing, hair, and a shoulder bag. Oh! It's the interviewer, huh? How professional. She kept hold of her interviewing tools even while running for her life. Did it do her odds of any survival any favors, though? Despite the body's state, it wasn't hard to tell that was the victim was Hisako Mamiya, a small-time food journalist. That thing. Did it come to me once it was done murdering her?
これはひどい
大丈夫？吐き気とか。
Chiemi was standing a short distance away, looking at nothing in particular.
吐くものもないしまあ慣れてるんで
I'm used to this, what do you mean?
春明さん、そっち系の学部だっけ？
まあ一応医学系
Wait, what's his profession again?
え、すご
I
い。
mean, his
検
course?
視とかできる？
医学系ってのは医学部以外の類似学部生が見え張って使う表現さまあ病理解剖なら何度か見たけど
I crouched down and put my hands together. Then grimacing at the harrowing wreck of blood innards and specially digesting food, I brought my face closer. Perhaps I could learn something from this. I could even if it wasn't much. This corpse was split into pieces. The limbs were still connected, but they were folded in a natural way and looked really flattened. They were either crushed or bent with no regards to the bones or muscle position. Then her whole body had been torn apart. The innards were particularly badly damaged. The words "wolf down" felt like the best way to put it down. I found it hard to describe this wasn't my job, so there wasn't much I could tell about it without touching it.
何がどうなってるのかわからない程度には常軌を逸した傷だよね
I had an urge to add that this seems inhuman, but I kept myself from saying that.
とにかくとっとと警察を呼んでプロに任せよ
I said something any good citizens would, but for some reason they didn't seem to agree.
春明さん、警察は来ないんだ。
そんなことはないでしょ人が死んでるんだし
来ないんだ。
じゃあ避難しよ
それも無理なんだ。
うどうしてバイクもあるしこの人たちが乗ってきた車だって
とにかく不採士さんで生存者は全員見つかったはずだから一度食堂に移動しましょう。
はるちゃんは僕らが連れてくぞ。
そっちはお願い。春明さん、行こ
なあちゃんと説明してくれな
I
いか
thought you're going to explain this to me.
う。悪いけど精神的に無理。自分で見て勝手に理解して。
What's wrong with you? I thought you're going to... Why? It was the first time Jamie had acted so harsh with me. I was pretty irritated myself, but it must have been worse for them. They actually had info on what was happening here.
無神経だったよ
Jamie said nothing more and just silently walked off. I followed after her. When we reached the plaza, I instantly understood what she said about evacuating. The bike and the van were both completely destroyed. Why are you getting mad at me for not knowing something that I'm supposed to know that I should know with you by telling me? Do you get it? The latter was in particular bad state. In front of the window was broken, all four tires were flat, etc. My bike was on its side. In front of the fork was broken. It was basically scrap metal now. F. There was a rock right next to it. Guess we had our weapon. And this is a different figure. There were more remains inside the van. What? It looked like an enormous mountain of flesh and bone. Is that her company? Oh, if I didn't know about you, the Yashimoto, I'd have assumed there were 2 or 3 corpses here. Damn, both of them got
橋本さん
Chiemi slowly nodded. I now knew we'd lost not only 2 lives but the means of transportation as
あ
well.
れ見て
She pointed at a wooden electrical pole. The line was dangling, torn apart with no hope of
よ
repair.
その電線は生きてるけど食堂のは電話線ごとやられた外には連絡できないよ
I took out my own phone. It worked, but the battery was almost dead, and like before, it was out of range. Situation had become even harsher than
こ
before.
れも見て
Chiemi walked a few steps away. I followed after. There was a large boulder. It was tall enough to reach an average roof, and there were drawings on it. Oh. Seems a symbol of there's 2 of it because there's 2 people dead now? What did it represent? At first it looked like an incoherent mess of lines. However, I realized there was a pattern. It felt like a calling card of some street gang. From what I could tell, its base is warped diamond shape with a spiral inside. There were 2 of them. It seems to be drawn in blood, but that wasn't nearly as disturbing as the bizarre shape.
狼が2匹村に紛れ込んだ
2 wolves who snuck into the village?
戦わなきゃいけない
Jimmy made a quiet declaration. Oh! So there are 2 of them? I mean, that's what it said, but I just can't believe it. Apparently, this settlement had been invaded by something malicious, and it was intelligent enough to rid all of the means of escape or contacting help. I could understand that much, but it didn't make sense to me. This wasn't some isolated island. There was a cliff, sure, but you could still go down to the Savanaga or go to the Kamifuji Yoshi. I'd ask about that the next time I had a chance.
ごめん
ん
気が立っちゃってごめん春明さんだってきついでしょうに
まあ気にしないでいいよ所詮僕はよそ者だ
そんなの言わないで
ああ言い方が悪かったよそ者ゆえにルールがまだわからないからもう少し静観するってこと疲れちゃいるけど多分普通の人よりは動揺はしてないと思うからおとなしくしとこうってねきっと他のご年配方はもっと殺気立ってるだろうし
春明さん本当にただの大学院生
そうでなきゃなんだと
なんか異様に落ち着いてないまるでこういう室に慣れてるみたい
多分大事な神経が何本か切れてるのさ
Small dining hall was jam-packed with people.
てめえ生きてやがった。
おはようござい
So
ま
you
す
mean... Oh,
大変な
him?
ことになったみたいですね
ごめんなさいね。ちょっと湯飲みが足りなくて。
いえお構い
てめえがやったのかよ。あ？
The younger OBB boy menaced me.
いややってないよどうしてそうなるの
うるせえ。入ってくるんじゃねえ。よしぼうやめろ。うるせえのはお前だ。ああ？匠兄だって言ってただろ。こいつが怪しいって。
Man, I had expected to be treated this badly.
ガキが出る幕じゃねえっつってんだ。それにここじゃ迷惑だ。なあ、香織さん。
あのね、匠さん。とにかく落ち着いて。
大丈夫だ。ちゃんと話は聞く。
ナムシ内大権現。ナムシ内大権現。
やめえたえば縁起でもねえそれより集会堂の鍵はどこだ
植松様に預けたわよ。 2、3日前お団を直すんじゃって。
姉ちゃんいいか。
取って参ります。
Oh, she's here. That was the woman, so she wasn't just an illusion. Uematsu-sama was her name, huh? I thought our eyes met for a second, but she just walked by me.
メイコちゃん、ちょっと待っててね。
That girl was here too. Deeper in, there was a cuteness Ganosato. She clearly irritated by something. Oh, hi, why are you here? Not too far away, there was an old man who cried wolf. Just like yesterday, it was hard to tell what he was looking at, let alone think. They were the only ones sitting, by the way. The others were all just idly standing around.
母さん、皆さん、戻りました。
はるちゃんこっち。
The 3 students were here. With them, the settlement's entire population had gathered. But the outsiders, the journalists, were dead, while I and the mysterious girl had survived. I didn't know the circumstances, but they probably had their reasons to be suspicious of me. Suddenly, Chiemi did something unexpected.
リカ子さん、ちょっと待ってもらえる？
She stopped the girl who was about to go out to get some tea. Each villager seems to call her differently, so I didn't know what to call her myself.
この人、久石春明さん。皿長でバイク事故に遭った人。
あ、どうも。
An introduction? Now, why?
こちら、植松里香子さん。回るに末で植松。珍しいでしょ？上藤吉の長者、植松家の現当主様。
植松里香子と申します。
Why do I feel
お
like
見知りおきください。
I heard her voice before? Oh. So she's like a local celebrity, huh? Like Kiyonetsuki, she's Nosato family.
あと、そっちのがめいこちゃん。名前がわかんないからそう呼んでるだけだけど。
こんにちは。よろしくね。
The girl they called Meiko traveled a bit and
あら、
sprinted through the crowd to hide behind Rikako Uematsu.
で、なんだっつうんだ、ちえみ。
私は、久石春明さんを宴に呼ばないことを提案します。
Oh! There's a feast! I felt a wave of perplexion go through the room.
ちい、買って言ってんじゃねえ。
そいつが怪しいか怪しくねえかを宴で決めるんだろ。
The expressions were stern and their words are harsh.
違います。私は彼がそもそも宴に参加する資格がないと言ってるの。匠兄ちゃん。
何言ってんだ、ちえね。そいつが一番怪しいっつうの。
よし君、宴の支度した？
はあ？したい。
しなかった人いる？
How was I supposed to react? No one else was raising their hands, but I had no idea what they were talking about.
多分、はい。何のことかわからないんで。
宴の支度をしなかったから、あの二人は汚れを受けた。
Oh!
でも、春明さんは受けていない。私は、狼様が彼を無視していると思ってる。
Okami-sama? As in the wolf-sama? With the reverence? And what was she even talking about?
皿長から来た人ではあるけど、彼は本当にただ通り過ぎただけ。むしろ宴の邪魔になる。いえ、むしろ宴に混ぜれば狼様の怒りを買って何が起きるかわからないとすら思う。
ばあちゃん、どう？
Her face.
あんたほんまに支度をせんと無事だったんかね。
Actually, if you call like dying once a preparation, maybe I did.
ちなみに支度って？
みそぎ、物意味、夢枕。
体を清める。一つの建物に一人で閉じこもる。眠って夜明けを待つ。この三つ。
What do you mean cleanse my body?
じゃあ守ってないですね。トイレに一人で入りましたけど、風呂も入らず一晩徹夜しましたから。
The place got all noisy. They probably didn't expect that answer.
わからんね。初めてよ。そんなことを聞いたのは。
Tai-san sounded genuinely puzzled.
リカ子さん、どう思われます？
I had no idea what kind of dynamics were at work here, but Shiemi asked for Rikako Uematsu's opinion.
私も賛成です。神内明神が裁かれないのなら、この方は山の掟の拉致外におられるのでしょう。
Her words created even more commotion.
そういうことです。
ちえみ、分かってんのか。そいつを外すってことは。
大切な宴1日分、無駄な人をくくらずに済むね。
おやっさん、どうするんだ。
It was a roundabout, but in the end, once again, the one to make the final call was Kanzo Makishimeshi.
こいつは宴から。
おやっさん。
じゃが
Glaring directly at me, the old man walked through the gathering and approached me. Seeing him from up close, I realized just how big and burly he was. It was pretty typical of someone living in a place like this, but it felt out of place on someone his age. His expressions displayed both an inner strength to match his physique and a profound rage.
山の掟が通じねえなら、わしらの取り決めに従ってもらう。さもなくば、わしがてめえを殺す。
He spoke slowly yet decisively. Man, this is uncomfortable.
ちょっと待て。彼が外されるというのならば、私やリカコさんも外していただけんかね。
あ、なんでだよ。
我々は上藤吉の人間だぞ。皿長の事情に付き合う必要はない。
野里様、そうはいきません。宴の日にいりゃ、野里も上松も身車も樋口も。
おっちゃん、その理屈だったら僕もやっすんもサボってよ。
廃着されたものは話は別だろう。どうして今現在4家に属している者がこんなバカに付き合わなきゃならない。
よ、キヨ。
気安く呼ぶな、ムロ。行きましょう、リカコさん。こんなもの付き合う義理はない。
いいえ、野里様。藤吉に住む者ならば、義理皆等しく神内様の手のひらの上、それがこの安水という皿の上に。
しかし
文句がありゃどこへでも行け。汚れで死ぬのが関の山よ。
Kinosuke, she eventually fell silent as Gakko left. Look at the key, probably. She returned in no time and everyone began leaving.
てめえは別のとこだ。
はい。どこに行けば。
匠、奥の檻使えるか。
Cage? Are you going to cage me?
そりゃ使えるけど。
Okay, to the cage we
あん
go.
た、こっちだ。
Everyone went to some hall near the village plaza while Takami led me elsewhere. We made our way through the tall grass between the buildings. At the dead end next to the wall trees and rocky cliff, there was a large cage. It even had a roof and would have passed for a hut with a bit of work.
生け捕りにした獅子を入れとくような檻だ。悪いが、ここに入っといてもらう。
拒否権はないってわけですか。
悪く思うな。みんなが宴をやってる間だけだ。そう長くはかからねえ。
So in the feast, they will the bodies will be there and then they will hang a wall.
詳しい話を聞くのも無理。
ああ、そうだな。悪いとは思うが、宴に出んで済むだけで幸運と思ってくれ。
How was I supposed to feel that way if I didn't even know what the feast was? I'd have asked, but he looked pretty irritated, probably because he wanted to get it over with, so I kept my mouth shut. The floor of the cage was mostly gravel with spaces of wheat and other things littered about. There was a vague but very clear scent of beast.
ここ、横になっていいでしょうか。眠れるときに寝といた方が良さそうだ。
ずいぶんずぶといな。
単に臆病なだけ。死にたくないだけですよ。
Damn, that was why I'd abandoned those people. I can't do anything about that when I mean abandoning. After Takami-san locked me in and left, I lay down and closed my eyes. The ground was hard and reeked pretty bad, but it was still an improvement over the outhouse. I should have taken the time to think about what the villagers had said about my strange memories and about how to get the hell out of here. That was what I wanted to do, but I knew that I'd just be swept by any unproductive spiral of regret if I went down that rabbit hole. Had I always been this admirable of a person? Another thing. For some reason, I felt like I spent the entirety of this time just watching the battle. So I decided that I'd focus on resting in preparations for what was to come.